right away, because then you will, here we go. Here we go. You can still see me in your top right corner, hopefully. If this is what you came for, the cover letter tips, then you're in the right place. Here we go. This is me as well, behind my laptop and a cup of tea, which I love. I'm a big tea drinker. My name is Marilyn. It's a very Dutch name. Don't worry if the sound is different than the way you see it written here. It usually makes people's brains fry a little bit because it's different, and it's hard for non-Dutch speakers. But it's Marilyn. Sounds a bit like Caroline. I live in Amsterdam. I'm from a small village close to Amsterdam. I'm a Dutch native speaker, but I have a master's in English, and I easily communicate in both languages. I'm a job coach and an HR communications consultant, and I have a background in HR and communications. I've recruited lots of people. I've done a lot of internal communications based on my language skills and my HR skills, and I've been bringing that into my work as a job coach. So helping people who are looking for a job better understand what communication skills are valuable there, and also better understand what people on the other side of the table are thinking, what HR people are thinking, and recruiters, the way they view your application. And the information that I get from job seekers, from people on the job market, I bring into organizations, and I consult and I advise them on communicating with employees and with candidates. So it's always very interesting for me to hear what's up with you and what's going on and how you are experiencing your job search. So that's me. And I'd really love to hear from you, just to get a quick idea of who's in this room, who's in this chat with us. And my first question to you is, when was your most recent job application? When have you most recently applied for a job? It could be very recent, could be very long ago. You can add your own a date or year or whatever if you like. If you're on your laptop, if you go to the top of your screen with your mouse, if you hover there, you'll find a button that says annotate. And if you click that, you can select text and add some text to this field, and write down when was your most recent job application. If you're on a phone, then it's somewhere else. I don't know where it is, but oh, a month ago, 2017. Great. Last year, 24 years ago. Wow. Just over a year ago. Let me see if I can, yeah, I'll move you so we can read everyone. Yeah, so for lots of people, it's quite recent. So you're probably looking for a job right now, or starting to, or you haven't needed to write a job application letter for a while.
We have some comments in the chat. I don't know if you
Gulchin says yesterday. Thanks. So you can always put it in the chat if you can't find the annotate button. This is perfect. So yeah, for lots of you, it's quite recent. And my next question, which is also interesting to know, is, let me see if, wait, I'm going to, sorry about that. I'm going to clear the screen. Clear all drawings. And go to the next one. Where was your most recent job application? And I'm not talking about the company. I'm more talking about the geographic location. So which country, maybe which city, where was that? Because it can be culturally different. It can be Amsterdam, Den Bosch, Germany. So lots of people are already applying. Oh, there's a double Amsterdam here. Amsterdam, Amsterdam. Oh, sounds like you're in the right place with Empower Amsterdam. Paris. Position in California, right? So that should be an American company. Abu Dhabi. There it is. Oh, Elena says Delft and Rotterdam. More Amsterdams and Berlins. Cool. All right. So what I'm here to explain to you is what I advise for your job application letters, your cover letters, your motivation letters, when you're applying for a job in the Netherlands at this moment. And things have changed quite recently, over the past years, in the style that is allowed for cover letters. And there's obviously also cultural differences in what is normal, what is accepted, and what is convenient in other locations. But this works in the Netherlands, and this works now. So if you see something that surprises you in that respect, you're very welcome to ask a question or to remark on this when we're in the Q&A or during your breakout session. This really works for now. And if you do have any questions about that, or if you're not sure, then do ask and do share, because you know there's always differences in styles and in cultures. So today, after having gotten to know you a little tiny bit already, I'm going to give you a quick introduction on my view on writing job application letters, motivation letters, cover letters, however you want to call it. Then I'll give you a solid, clear setup and structure for writing such letters. I'll just give you all the elements that you want to have in your cover letter in the right order. I'll give a brief explanation of why this approach really works, and also help you find out how this works. Because, you know, I can give you a list of things that should be in your cover letter, but then you will know what topic that paragraph should be on. But then how do you get the information? How do you think of what to write in that paragraph? That's another question. So we'll focus on that as well. And then I'll be happy to offer you some breakout groups where you can share your stories, get to know each other, share your questions, ideas, what really works for you, what you're still unsure about. Let's share that. And then afterwards we can come back and you can share what you've heard from each other. You can ask all the questions that you like. Here's a chat message. Oh, my voice is quite low at the moment. It sometimes drops, but it will come back. And if you haven't really heard something, then do let me know, because I'll just repeat it. It's a hardware thing on my laptop. I'm so sorry. Here we go. When you are writing a cover letter, when you are applying for a job, it's a bit like starting a relationship. It's a bit like dating. And this is good to keep in mind, because it will help you find the right tone and the right mix of information in your letter. This is about you getting to know the company. It's about them getting to know you. That goes both ways. So it's as much about you getting information as it is about giving information. And it's also about the level of information, because if you're on a first date, or if you're just meeting someone in a bar, you're not going to want to share your whole life story. And if you are this lady sitting waiting for a first date, and the person she's meeting up with is sitting with her and starts talking all about himself or herself, and not asking any questions back, not saying anything nice, it's not going to be a successful date. But if you sit there with her and if you listen, you listen to her story, if you ask her questions, if you say, wow, that's a nice dress, you've really dressed up for this date, that's nice. That will give you a very different start of this relationship, of this the testing phase of the match, really. And I think that's a very helpful way of looking at job application letters, looking at cover letters. And you'll see how that pans out when I give you the setup for success for your cover letters. The first element in your cover letter is quite obvious, but it's overlooked sometimes. So I put it in the list. The salutation, the opening. Dear person. It's really nice to have someone's actual name in there. Sometimes you'll say dear recruiter or dear hiring manager if you really can't find out who the person is, what their name is. If you do have a chance, it's often at the bottom of the job ad, or you can give them a ring and ask them, who can I address this letter to? You can send them an email. It always works better to have a name. You know, if you're meeting, going back to that metaphor that I just used, if you're meeting someone, it's always nice to say, hi Marilyn, nice to meet you, instead of hi person or hey girl. It just makes it more personable and more appealing instantly to have a real name in your salutation. Well, that was easy. The next one's a bit harder. This is your opening. What often happens in a cover letter is that you start with where you found the job ad, that you find it interesting, or that you start talking about what you are, who you are, what you can offer to the company. But when you start with something nice, with a friendly remark, with something that really interests you about the company, with a compliment about them, that is a really good opener, because the person who reads it is either working for the company directly and they'll think, oh, I like this company, and they like it too, this is nice, they're really motivated to work here. Or they're an agency recruiter and the hiring manager is their client, and they still want you to say something nice. Rena's asking, can you give an example? Yes, I can. Let's say I'm applying with, I don't know, I was thinking ABN AMRO, but I can't think of anything nice to say about them. No, I'm just kidding. Let's say you apply with Booking.com, for example, and you read the job ad, you close your eyes and you think about, okay, what do I really like about Booking.com? What do I really like about this job? You can say, I'm really happy to see that you have this job opening for blah, 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 blah. I've always admired Booking because it's a very interesting company with so many people from different cultures and backgrounds working there. And that must really reflect the quality and the experience that you offer to your users. I'd really love to be a part of that, and I'm very interested in that cultural aspect. That is something nice that you say about them, and it is something that I really believe. I mean, this is something that is very personal to you, that you really mean, and adding that you really mean it and that's really your opinion is an important part of this opening. So you can say something general like Booking.com is an international company, period. That's more of a statement. That's not saying something friendly, because it's too much of a statement. If you add that you love the cultural diversity of a company like Booking.com, then it's personal, because you say that's something that's your opinion rather than just a bare fact. I hope that helps. The second part, still not about you, it's all about them. And this is where you go into what they're looking for. What do they need? Why do they have this job opening? What can you gather from the job ad or from other sources of information to pinpoint exactly what they need help with, because what you're coming to do is help them with exactly that. So, for example, there's a job opening for an assistant business manager for a theatre company. I helped someone with a job like that recently, and he knew exactly what that job entailed. And what he wrote was, okay, I see that you need help with getting this and that in order. I would love to come in and help you sort that out to take that load off your shoulders. The hiring manager will read that and think, oh, yes, please come in and do that. I really want you to come over and help me do that. It gives them a really good feeling. It makes them feel relief. It makes them feel happy that you, first of all, understand what they need. You've paid attention because they're worth your attention. You've really read carefully. You understand the work and you understand the field, and you can come solve that. So again, this is all about them. You haven't even told them anything about you yet. You're just talking about them. This is just like dating. First, you ask questions and you let the other person tell you a bit about themselves before you start talking about yourself the whole time, because nothing's worse on a first date than when the guy's talking about himself the whole time. I mean, that's my experience, and I that might have been yours as well. Okay, next part. This is where you talk about yourself. This is where you give some highlights of your work experience that's connected to what they need. So the sequence is that first you talk about what they need, and then you explain that you can do that. You give some highlights of what you can do that are connected to what they need. So you explain what you can do. You pick out maybe the top three things that are valuable in your work experience. You don't need to share too much. Just like on a first date, you don't need to tell people everything about yourself. You make them curious to find out more and to have a second meeting, to hire you and actually see what you can do. Yeah, it's just to make them curious, to make them excited. You wear a nice dress, they get excited to see more of you. Then you can talk about yourself. This can be a brief bit at the bottom of the letter where you talk about what kind of person you are. What are you passionate about? What are you interested in? Who you are as a co-worker. Are you a calm person? Are you dependable? Are you very vibrant? Do you always bring cookies on the day after your birthday? You can add some personal information, make it a more personal letter as well. So you make sure that they see who you are as an individual rather than another piece of paper on that pile of letters or another email in the box. This is where you talk about yourself. So it's at the end of the letter. Number 6, it's quite easy again. You look forward to hearing from them, thank them for their time, and you look forward to being invited to discuss the role further. And you end with best regards, yours sincerely, your name and your phone number and your email address. It's very convenient to have your phone number and your email address on the cover letter, because if a recruiter is looking for it, you just want to be serviceable and make it as easy as you can for them to find your contact details. Yeah, just to make them feel good and feel happy about inviting you. So that's your structure. If this is all in your letter, it's all in one page, you can make that happen. Then you have an excellent letter. Now, I can imagine that you think, that's nice, that's a good structure, that's clear, I can work with that. But as soon as you start writing this, you're going to think, yeah, but what kind of experience am I going to select? We have a chat message. Erin asks, is it good form to have the same header, including your name and contact details, on both your cover letter and resume? Yes. That's a good question, and yes, that can look really nice. So from a design perspective as well, and it's also very very convenient for the recruiter or for the hiring manager to have your information there. If it's not there, or if they want you to apply via email, and your letter text is directly in the email body, that's also okay. But yeah, that's true. It's like personal branding if you do have the same header. I also like the it's a bit old-fashioned as well. Like if you've had your own stationery and everything's on there, or it looks like, you know, your business stationery. That's I like it. Yeah, it's a good idea. Any other questions? You're welcome to throw them into the chat and I'll have a look. But what I next want to address is how you fill in all these elements on your in your letter, because it's great that you know what should be in all the elements, but how do you select the information that works for you, that is your information, that how do you come up with that? That's the next thing I want to talk to you about. And what I also want to explain is why this works, because it may seem different from the approach that you've used so far. But what I really want to stress is that the person reading your letter, the person going through your application, is a real human being. You're a real human being, and the thing you can achieve with your cover letter by having them read it is establish some kind of connection, establish a curiosity about who you are, make them think, oh, I want to invite this person for coffee, even if you don't fit the profile exactly. If they find you an interesting or a fun or a nice person, they'll be happy to invite you for a coffee and talk about this. There's a message in the chat that I'm going to have a look at. If you're sending an open letter, should you still try to find out who to send it to, and who would that person be, a recruiter or a manager? Yes, I would definitely try to find out who to send it to. And what you can do is give the HR person or the recruitment department a phone call. Give them a ring and ask them who to address it to. If you know the manager, if you know the hiring manager, then definitely send it and address it to them. And if you don't, then give them a call and you find out whether there's a person that's going to read it directly and address it to them. Yeah, especially with an open letter, because it's something they might not be expecting. That's not directly going to a hiring manager. So yeah, great question, and yes, it's always nice. And again, that goes back to why this works, because they're real human beings, they're real people, and they like to be seen like that. You're a real human being, so you're allowed to show who you are. Oh, Annie's had a question as well. I'll come back to that in a second. Thank you. And the thing about your cover letter is that you have what they need. They just need to find out that you're the person who has what they need. And it's for you to find out whether you're a match. It's for both parties, but also for you to find out whether you're a match for this job. It could be that you find out that this doesn't work for you. Just like on a date, you know, it could be that the other person thinks, I'm not feeling it. And it could be that you think, oh, no, I don't feel a connection. That really goes both ways. Let's see, Annie's other question. How many words would you recommend? I always get feedback from friends that employers in the Netherlands want things to be not too wordy. That's true. If you can fit your cover letter on one page, then and you don't overdo it, like you don't stretch your margins and use teeny tiny letters. If it's a normal looking one pager, then that's fine. That's perfect. And what I will explain to you in a bit on how to find the information to put into your letter and how to summarize it. I think that will also help you to not be too wordy and to keep it brief and short and sweet. So yeah, if I'm about to explain that to you, and if If that brings up any further questions, and then do let me know. We're going to go into how this works. How do you write this letter with all the elements that you know now? How do you put your information in there? The first, oh, another question in the chat. Ah, thank you. You're welcome. The first thing you want to do is investigate. So you have a job ad, or you want to send an open application. You want to investigate all the information that you can dig up. You want to read the job ad at least 3 times. Write down the most important words. Write down and really think about what do they mean. If I were them, what type of person would I be looking for? What type of profile? Sometimes there's teeny tiny words here and there that you can pick up and think, oh, I think that's what they need. Really read it carefully. Maybe read it with someone else. Check out the website of the organization. Have a really good look. Be interested. See what's going on with them. Maybe Google them and find out what's in the news, what's going on their end. And another thing that can really help you is to talk with people who know the organization. This can be someone who works there. It can be someone who works with them, who used to work there. People who can tell you what's going on with them, what they need, what their problems are, what their wishes and ambitions are that you can help them achieve. This is where networking comes in. This is, if you talk to someone who works at this organization, this is not about you asking them for a job. This is about you being interested in them and asking them, can you tell me what's going on? What do you need? What's important to you? Be interested. And people are very often happy to share that information. This is really going to help you make your cover letters a lot better. Another thing that's going to make them a lot better is stepping into their shoes. If you really imagine the person who's reading your letter, or the person who's hiring, the hiring manager, what they need to hear, what they're interested in, if you take a moment and read it from that perspective, it becomes easier to realize where you might be going overboard with your own personal information, or where you need a bit more, where you can reduce what the tone is as well. So take a moment before you send it out and step into their shoes. Sorry, wrong button. What will also help you is to share your STAR. This has come up in earlier sessions. If you haven't seen them, they're on YouTube. But STAR is giving information structured into the situation that you were in, the task that you had, the action that you took, and the result that you got. If you are writing down the highlights of your experience, think about STAR and use that to summarize it. Say, okay, I did this. That was my responsibility, that was my result, and that's a very good way to argue that you have the experience that's needed for the job. This is also great for interviews, but it's also good for cover letters. And another tip, get an extra pair of eyes. Get someone else to read your letter, to read your resume as well, your CV. You'd be surprised that people suddenly accidentally misspell their own name, leave a digit out of their phone number so I couldn't call them, made a mistake in their email address, or accidentally put in the name of a different company instead of the company that they're applying for. There's all kinds of things that you overlook when you're so deep into this and you're really working on your letter. And someone else will pick out those teeny tiny mistakes, or big ones, big glaring ones, but get someone else to help you. And this is, I do this too, you know, I couldn't write a cover letter on my own, even though I know all this. I still need an extra pair of eyes, because you always overlook things in your own text. That's okay, you're a human being. But this is important to get a really good cover letter. Now, what I want to know from you is, of these parts that I've told you, which parts would you find super easy, easy breezy, and which parts are you still figuring out? You can go to the top of your screen and annotate and select stamp and put your stamp in the field that applies to you. So investigating, getting information, stepping into their shoes and really imagining what it's like for the person reading your letter, sharing your star, so finding the right information and structuring it well, and getting an extra pair of eyes. What is easy for you, and what are you still figuring out? Oh, nice. I'm glad to see a lot of people feel confident about the investigating part. Stepping into their shoes is an interesting one. Sharing your star. Yeah, that's something. Sharing your star is something that you can practice. You can practice it in conversation, and it gets a lot easier, and you get a lot better at it when you start practicing that. So that's a good thing to know. Getting an extra. Oh, good. I'm glad almost everyone finds it easy to get some help. That's yeah, great. Okay. Let me clear this and take you to the first breakout session. It all works better when you work together. What I'd like you to do in this breakout session, it's a short one. It's 15 minutes, so everyone gets 5 minutes to speak. What do you find easy? Share what you find easy. Maybe you can inspire others, or just share your experiences, your story, your questions and tips about investigating, about stepping into the other person's shoes, about sharing your star, and about getting an extra pair of eyes. Here you go. And the ground rules for the breakout room is to keep what you're saying short and sweet. Do be honest, do be kind to everyone. Keep an eye on the time and make sure that everyone gets a chance to speak. Shay, our producer, will divide you up into your breakout rooms. Have fun and yeah, get to know each other.